Oh, Brett and
Dude,
Ashton.
Hi.
Look at
What's
your
going
setup.
on?
Look at
Pretty
you,
good, huh?
Cordell.
I'm a
Dude,
pro.
I have those things. I should have wore mine.
What, your headphones?
I have a little mic, one with a mic and everything. Yeah, that's for podcasts.
Oh, do you?
With like
Oh, does the mic come out to like your mouth, or is it just like a Bluetooth mic?
And it's got I've got like the soundboard where you can plug everything in. Because Troy wanted to do one and we never did it.
Yeah, I'm trying to do like a so I can do like actual in person podcasts. It's not difficult, but you do have to have like a soundboard. You have to have like a good camera to set it up. You have to have 2 microphones. You have to have a little bit of
sound thing because I don't use it. I'll find it
because like I'm gonna have Cody's gonna come on and I'm gonna try to do him in person since he's just 20 miles away. Make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So, but you can do a lot too. Like I have a GoPro that I think can work. It's just setting up the GoPro with the microphones. You have to like connect it all to the soundboard.
Yeah.
I still got to figure out exactly how to do it. I don't think it's too difficult if I just put in like an hour of a little bit of research. It's probably
but doesn't it cost money to get that stuff too?
Yeah, I have already have the GoPro. The microphones aren't too bad. I mean, it's $50 to $100. They're not the nicest microphones ever, but I don't need a $2,000 microphone or anything like that. So it does the job.
How'd you find this Riverside thing? It's pretty nice.
Just kind of looked around. I like it because it can do 2 things. It can edit it for you, because it has like an AI that kind of goes through it and it edits. It kind of cuts out any background noise and things like that. But then it also can do magic clips, which you can like post to Instagram. It cuts certain tidbits that you want to do. But the biggest one is it makes editing really easy. So it transcribes the entire podcast for you. And so you can go into it and you can go to a certain section and just delete it all. You just literally, it's like Word. You highlight the words, delete, and then boop, there it goes.
Oh, that's so nice. That's
what's
easy.
the thing that says uploading?
So that is just us, the podcast, uploading right now. So like it's saving it as we go, so we don't lose anything.
I gotcha.
That's good.
Yeah. So it's just automatically uploading. Like you can see, it's like 97% right now. It's just 3% behind. Is technically.
Have you posted your other ones?
No, not yet. I'm waiting on stupid Josh, because I'm trying to put them out one by one, and I don't know how I want to do it exactly yet. But right now, it's probably going to be like one episode a week.
Yeah.
And try to just even it out that way. I didn't want to like film because you guys are my 3rd guest to come on, and I didn't want to like just put them all out there right away and then have nothing for like 2 weeks. So I'm trying to space out a little bit, and it does like with Chris's episode. I mean, we talk. I mean, he's a funny guy, but it like his episode. It's taken me a while to edit it. It's just we have a lot of tidbits in there that probably not everyone should hear. So I'm trying to edit it out a little bit, but it's kind of difficult only in terms of when it pieces it together. You have like a half second of like Chris speaking, and it stops. Like you're cutting it out, and then it continues, and you can tell it's not 100% like what he's saying. It's not a continuous sentence. I cut something out. I think that's how it is. Like if you listen to any other podcast, you can tell when people cut things out. Yeah. So like I said, easier said than done. Then I tried to add a little music, and that's not as easy either. So it's kind of learning at the same time how to do it all.
Privileges to add music? Do you have to do it from a certain?
There are free sites out there that you don't have to pay anything for.
Yeah.
So I'm going with those bad boys. I'm not. I mean, they're all good. It's you have a lot of options for it. There's nothing too crazy that you need to look for. But yeah, there's a few. There's a few.
Oh,
so
but that is so time consuming. like cutting,
Yeah.
adding all that stuff in. Man.
Yeah, and the first 2 episodes too, I forgot to press record. So Chris and I were talking for probably 15 minutes. And then I looked down, I was like, oh my God, I did not hit record. So I just hit record.
Thing, and then
Yeah.
right when you get on record, and then
Yeah.
cut
Yeah.
it
So
out.
then I told him, I was like, hey, repeat the last 15 minutes of what you just said.
No way.
And he didn't. We just kept on talking. But then I had um Dom. I don't know if you know who Dom. Oh, Brett, you met Dom.
Yeah.
He was on the last time. Did the same thing. Sitting there talking to him for 15 minutes. And then I realized, like, oh my God, I did it again. And his, I didn't even tell him. I hit record. And we just continued talking. Luckily, because the first 15 minutes of his convo, it was like he's like learning to become a pilot, and a lot of insightful info he was giving me, like stuff I had no idea about. It's kind of crazy, like all the stuff he goes through just become a pilot. But luckily he came back around, started talking about it again. I didn't have to ask him, like, keep on talking about that pilot stuff. It was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
So it worked out pretty well. It was good.
All right, what are we doing?
We're already going, Brett. We're already talking. Don't be nervous. Brett said it's his biggest dream to be on a podcast. That's what he told me.
Lifelong dream come true.
Lifelong dream come true. Yeah, to be on a podcast.
Too.
We'll reach tens of people, Brett. It's okay.
No, you gotta dream big, Cordell. Dream big.
Yeah, I know.
We know our mom.
Our moms will be on. I'll have a few people on.
That's true.
Yeah, Amber told me that she's not going to listen because she already hears me talk enough. So she's like, I don't need to hear you talk anymore.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, you'll just try to be funny. So I already get that every day. I was like, oh yeah, we'll see about that.
Dad jokes every day.
Dad jokes is right.
Oh, you guys have dad jokes.
No, I wanted to really bring you guys on just because I know you guys have started that or started or bought, or I honestly I don't really know exactly how you started the Tallow Me Up business, and it's just lip balm, correct? Or
it's body balm, lip balm.
Body balm.
I got one of that, Cordell.
Oh, that's the logo is nice. It's not as big as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I had him shrink it. Yeah,
it is nice.
There when we had breakfast that day.
Yeah, because the thing like covered the whole hat. That logo did.
Yeah, no, I had him.
And I was like, yeah, you got to shrink that down a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I told him, I was like, I do kind of like Cordell's idea that where you said to like put it on the side, like towards the back a little bit.
It's like $20 more.
Yeah, it would be really cool if we could break it up a little bit.
Unless you got a lot more money.
We'll keep going as we make more money.
Yeah, as you make more money. Yeah.
Well,
no, just because the podcast is kind of focused around nature, outdoors, and it can incorporate a lot of things with that. It's not just hunting and hiking and things like that. And one big thing like I'm kind of in lately is just natural, organic products. Food products, whatever it may be. Just because there's a lot of crazy products going around that you just really have no idea what you're like. It's like I have this app called Yuka that you go to like a grocery store and you scan the barcode of that food and it'll show you it rates it on a scale of like 0 to 100 how good this product is for you. Like 0 is obviously bad, 100 is very good. And I'm not kidding you, I would say about half of everything I ate was like between 0 and 50. It was
I think things like wheat thins were healthy, and then after learning more information, it's just like what even is a wheat thin? Things like that.
I would go, you go grocery shopping and you're like fruit, wheat thins, a little bit of dip, that's a pretty healthy snack right there. And then you scan it, it's like, what? This thing is not good for you? It's like, that's crazy.
My biggest thing I tell Ashton all the time is the label of sugar free. When something says sugar free, like a Diet Coke, whatever it might be. I'm not saying she loves Diet Coke, but whatever it might be.
My one.
And it says sugar free, and then we know what is in that, and it's just a fake sugar
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is 10 times worse for you, yet they can claim it's sugar free because it doesn't have the natural sugar,
And
which would be better
yep.
for you in it. And then, that can ruin anybody's stomach. And it's basically a lie saying that it's sugar free. It's still a sugar.
Yeah, it's like do they like substitute it with stevia? I know is that one big
Bad one.
Aspartame.
aspartame. I
Yeah.
have heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it is
yeah.
it's wild for
Yeah,
sure.
I know.
Yeah.
I think there should be a law that says you can't say something's sugar free if it has a sugar alternative in it.
Yeah.
Other countries are crazy different compared to the United States when it comes to
Miles
that
ahead.
type of
Yeah.
stuff. Like United States, companies can technically do whatever they want. Really, it seems like they can market however they want, market it as good. Like I know other countries, like they cannot put certain things in their food. Like one is like red dye 40. My wife, she's always going on about no red dye 40. It's like,
Right.
well, how do I know? Like you look at a label, there's 3 million words on that, and all of them are words I've never heard of, and
Right.
can barely say. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
It's wild.
All those dyes and the
Yeah.
European countries. I lost my train of thought. Cut this.
I know there's like certain things that they have. I don't think this is one, but like Doritos, like they literally don't sell them in Europe because it's not Doritos, but it's something like that where they're just certain. Like I think Ritz crackers are like not big over there because they have so many toxic ingredients.
Yeah,
and just,
they didn't. They just didn't grow up eating that stuff and never.
Yeah.
Have. It's not food. Like we know that it's not.
Yeah.
Oh, it's and yeah. If Doritos are banned in European countries, I am fucked
Oh wow!
because I ate 3 trillion Doritos when I was younger.
I always wonder that too. Like, did I just screw myself? Because of what I ate growing up, like, or can I fix it now? 30 years down the road,
I still get scared. It's like I ate like shit when I was younger. I ate processed macaroni cheese, Doritos all the time. You know, when you like look at like cold cut turkey and like ham and stuff you put in sandwiches, they're not very good for you. And I thought those were healthy. Yeah, I thought a lot of that stuff was healthy. It is not. I mean, and I still get worried a little bit because I'm like, did I just destroy my body and like there's no coming back from it?
I know. Are we too far gone? Yeah.
Which I don't think so. You can always. I think you can come back at least to a certain point. But we're still young.
Yeah,
we're not we're not like 60.
That's true. But yeah, I remember what I was saying about those European countries is that they have like banned all the ingredients that we have in all of our foods.
Yeah.
The benzoates or whatever they're called, and all the preservatives.
High fructose corn syrup.
All the preservatives,
they just don't have it in their food because they know it's not food. It's not supposed to be in our bodies.
Yeah.
How do we not know this by now? With cancer rates, astronomically high compared to when our parents were younger and stuff like that.
Yep. Well, a lot of different factors too, but it is pretty unfortunate where like you go and buy like organic food, it's 3 times more expensive than a bag of Doritos or something like that. Like, so I get when like families, they can't really afford to go to like Whole Foods. Like you go to Whole Foods, as much as I love Whole Foods, like I spend $100 on 3 items. And it's like, oh my Lord, what did I spend? What did I get? I was like, I got lunch. I went there and I got a salad for lunch the other day, and it was like $27.
Oh my God.
And it's like $15 per pound. I just add on a lot of protein and meat. And I was like, good Lord. Yes.
Put some bacon bits on the dressing.
Yeah. I'm sitting there like one by one putting the chickens on because I was like, this might be too much. This is like another half a pound right here. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is pretty crazy. So I think some people kind of turn a blind eye to a lot of that just because it's cheap.
Yeah.
Which I understand. I get it.
It's sad we can't afford it. That the majority of people can't afford good quality food, but if they would simplify, I think a lot of it has to do with eating out and stuff too. I think if you simplify your diet it can't be much more expensive than what they're spending, but
for sure.
It's cheaper to get a bag of Doritos than it is to get a pack of apples.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And especially, like I said, and I've kind of been reading a lot about like organic versus non-organic, especially produce and fruit and whatnot.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Well, I mean, organic is obviously better for you. They don't use some pesticides and fertilize. Like I don't know all the details. But I read or I listened to someone who was talking about they read this study that kind of compared like non-organic apples versus organic apples, and
Sure.
the non-organic apples contained like I don't know 5 times, and don't quote me on this, like 5 times more pesticides or something like that than um the non-organic. And they're saying now too, if like you take a sample of your blood, like 93% of people will will test positive for like a pesticide in their blood or something like that, just because it's like you can't. It's everywhere.
Even
It is
organic
everywhere.
trace amounts, right? There's just no way for
Yeah.
that entirely. That's why you got to grow your own.
Yeah. Exactly.
Get you a farm. Get you a farm. Start
Get you a
growing.
farm. Yeah. A lot of work though.
Oh yeah.
But like I was talking to like Cody and Casey about this, like fertilizers and stuff like that, and he was like, "Yeah, I kind of think that's like what most farmers die from is like cancer related deaths to fertilizer and pesticides."
Yeah,
and
if they have
they're around it,
unless
he said it's like even when you touch it, it can just get absorbed through your skin and it goes into your blood. Yeah, he said it's kind of crazy how prevalent it is with the farming industry. And obviously it's not everyone, but he's like, I can kind of see my future as a farmer because he's in a farm for his whole life. Where he's like, I'll probably die of some cancer. Don't know which one it is. Yeah, but I was like, that's pretty a grim way of looking at that.
like he's in the line of duty.
I know it's pretty crazy, and it's I don't know. There's a lot of info out there, but I think a little bit is just too much. You don't really know what is going on. Like that's how I kind of look at it. Is like there's just so much I can never fully understand it. I don't. I how you kind of said I try to eat as simple as possible now. Like just keep it within the meat, the vegetables, and the fruit area. But even when you do that, you're still kind of ingesting some pesticides from fruit and vegetables and things like that. But it's better for you than probably Doritos and cookies and ice cream, which I like too. But
yeah, and same thing with the meat, which I guess kind of brings it full circle to our tallow. But pasture fed, grass fed versus corn fed. There's studies that show the difference in that, and just because these cows are ingesting corn, beans, whatever it might be, that's loaded with chemicals that can leak into their system and then into us.
Yeah.
And that's why our tallow is all grass fed. I think most tallow companies do grass fed tallow. I think it's just kind of a known thing.
Yeah.
That you don't want to use something that isn't grass fed. Just if you're going for a non-toxic lifestyle and you're putting it on your body, you probably want to make sure it's a grass-fed tallow, and that's what we do.
For sure. So what kind of made you guys want to do tallow, lip balm, and body balm and things like that? I mean, Brett is the chapstick king of the world. Just in terms of wherever I go, my lips are chapped. Last time I saw you, I was like, Brett, I need some chapstick bad, dude. He just opens up his sock and there's a piece of chapstick in there.
If I don't have pockets, I gotta put it in the sock. That's why you wear long socks.
He does
long socks, yeah. Yeah, so kind of because it's kind of an interesting area that not a lot of people probably know or understand. And it's pretty cool because it's, chapstick and body balm is just a normal product that a lot of people use. So
yeah. I feel like we both kind of got into it at the same time. A little bit. Like we both got curious and started looking. I am used to be the queen of Bath and Body Works, all the chemicals, hormonal disruptors, all the things, and kind of got out of that. but I still liked my pumpkin scented body wash and all my sprays. And so I don't know. Then I kind of ran across Primally Pure, and I'm like, what the heck is this stuff? What is like a hormone disruptor? And so I started looking at all that, and then we just kind of started looking at more cleaner stuff. And then this company popped up, and we were like, that's up our alley. Let's see what we can do. So I guess if you want to add a little
I think it all started with food, like it does for most of us when we're kind of like making a transition and maybe opening our eyes to what we've been ingesting. And then it kind of, dominoed into, well, what else are we putting on or in our body that could be, hurting us? And it's everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything. I think you and I have talked about it. The toothpaste we use, the soap we use, whatever it might be, candles that have.
Yeah, like the diffusers that like diffuse scents and stuff. I was on a subscription for those, and then we got it all. And I was like, nope.
The clothes you wear,
laundry detergent. I mean, we've really integrated it everywhere. The dishwashing soap, because that's like your dishes that you eat off of, and it's like you're literally just putting it right in your mouth. So and just thinking that all of those things like Tide Pods and like Cascade Pods, you're literally melting plastic. Get to the and so we were just like, what are we doing?
Or sometimes you can still, like when you open up the dishwasher, you can, like the little compartment you put the pack in, you can see the plastic like coated around it. It's like, oh, I did that one time. I opened, I was like, oh my God, that is disgusting. It's like that is just going everywhere on the plates that I eat, in the forks that I use, or the plates that I eat with. It's crazy.
I got wood utensils. I got some wooden forks.
We cook nothing but cast iron.
Cast iron, stainless steel. We don't want the.
We sound like crazy people.
I was gonna say we're full blown hippies now.
Yeah, we. When you heat up the nonstick pans, they say there's chemicals released. Just like aluminum foil, when you heat stuff up in that, that's a no-no now. So
it's I get when you say like we do sound like crazy people, but like I do the same thing. It's kind of, I think when you go down that rabbit hole, it's hard not to become like that, because it's like you just start like hearing things and reading things, and then it goes from like the food you ingest, and it goes to like the clothes you wear. If it's not 100% cotton or things like that, that is just going straight into your skin, and and like all my athletic shorts are that like the spandex or the
forever chemicals,
the forever chemicals that just go straight into your bloodstream through your skin, and it doesn't seem like it's not a lot, but it kind of gets you scared. It's like, I don't want to.
I've always been a free baller, so I didn't have to worry about
you don't have to worry about
way ahead of the game there.
You are. You are.
Underwear's poison.
But I feel like we're just like brushing the surface too of like, this whole thing, like you're talking about your shorts, the same thing. I think the same thing kind of came out for like women's leggings, like these really popular brands, and it, is in very close quarters of very sensitive areas, and it has like, I think they've said affected fertility and like just kinds of things. And I think we're just like this. What did this come out in the last 2 years?
Probably.
It's like, who knows in 10 years what is going to come out? Like, oh yeah, like this was causing ovarian cancer. Like it's wild.
The microplastics, all this
microplastics.
Stuff, very new information, at least to me, and I think to most people. And it's just eye-opening that we wonder why. Our kids are obese. We have just an increase of
mental health.
I think cancer, everything. I just have to think that it is, or at least we kind of live our lives that way, and that's
for sure.
We started. I guess we didn't start, but we bought this company from a couple in California who had started it 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
22.
Yeah, and it was just a way for us to kind of try to make a profit and run a business off of something we were passionate about.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
and something that's good for you too.
Exactly. Yeah. Or hopefully, at least we think it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Ashton's our CEO. She does all the hard work.
Talk to people,
Yeah.
answer emails, do all the things.
Yeah.
But
We made some tallow this weekend, and it is a process, but it's kind of wild to see that when you purify it in like a saltwater bath in the crock pot, the beef fat, you render it down.
So do you just go get beef fat from like a store? Like take me from the start to the end, how you do it. 'Cause I have no idea how this happens.
You want to get obviously grass-fed beef fat, which is called sweat, and it usually comes around the organs. It's cleaner, but it's just like you would have on a steak when you're cutting off your fat from your ribeye. It's the same thing. It's just big clumps of it. We bought it in bulk, and you cut it up. You can grind it up. You put it in the crock pot with salt and water, and this is a purification process, and it melts it down. It melts it to a liquid form, and then you purify that twice, and it's completely rendered, and it hardens back to like the consistency of a candle is what we always say.
Yep.
And that's basically your tallow balm. And what we do is we have a plain one where we just add organic cold pressed olive oil.
Let's back up here too. Sorry.
Yeah.
The process too of like rendering it. So render, which this was a whole thing explaining it to my family. Rendering is cleaning.
Yeah.
You're just purifying it. And the first step is to do it with beef fat, which is beef sweat. And then once you render the fat, clean it, it becomes tallow.
Tallow, correct.
So when you buy beef fat, it is not tallow yet.
Yes.
You have to clean it, render it. So we do that, and we do that. You have to use distilled water. We use like all organic, pink Himalayan
sea salt.
Yeah. So every step is just so like
you strain
clean,
it with
pure, high quality.
You strain it with an organic cheesecloth.
Yeah.
You follow all the steps so that you're making sure.
What is an organic cheesecloth? Is it like a cloth? Like an actual cloth, but
yes.
And regular cheesecloth is like pure white, which means it was bleached. So you're putting that through bleach.
Yes.
Back in there.
It's just, I don't know what fabric it is. I really don't. But you're straining it through that.
I don't know either.
To get your chunks out.
Yeah. But continue.
Well, I mean, that's about the gist of it. And then, we add organic cold pressed olive oil. So we have an unscented version, which is just the beef tallow and olive oil.
Yep.
And then we add other essential oils for scent. For different flavors,
which we get the highest quality essential oils.
The highest quality olive oil from Sonoma Farms in California.
Yeah, and then our essential oils are from Young Living, which anyone kind of in the essential oil industry.
Those essential oil people. Yeah, no, I know. She knew what it was before we even got started.
The highest quality. They have farms in Utah, and so they are literally like growing the lavender and then like pressing it for the oil, and their essential oils are just incredible.
Yeah,
but those are the oils we use.
Yeah, so start to finish, we try to keep it as clean, unprocessed as possible, which I think we do a fairly good job. We use glass jars.
Yeah.
No plastic involved.
Bamboo lids. Yeah.
Nice.
So we're keeping it as clean.
Yeah.
And pure as possible.
Yeah, trying to.
And natural.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And there's plenty of avenues. It's just wild to think that, if you're eating a steak and you cut off a piece of the fat, you just think like, well, it's just wild to think that you're rubbing that on your skin.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's loaded with vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are anti-inflammatory. There's certain benefits to it other than the fact that it moisturizes your skin, but we can domino this into tons of other things too, where like we want to do things like sunscreen because we know how toxic sunscreen can be. Obviously, we have a lip balm, same thing. I think there's plenty of toxins that are in your typical chapstick and Carmex and stuff like that. So there's plenty of avenues.
Sunscreen's a big one lately that I've heard a lot about. And you can have like two sorts of people. You can have we haven't been using sunscreen in our entire since our ancestors never used sunscreen. came to be in 1940, which I don't fully agree with that, but you also have these sunscreens that are just like, these things are awful for you, and you are directly applying them to your skin.
Yeah.
That
Roasting it
I
in your
don't know. I don't know how we never thought that this was good, or that this might be bad for us until now.
I
But
know.
like I did the same thing, just read into it a little bit, and it's just like all these crazy chemicals that are in sunscreen that you are literally directly applying to your skin.
Worse than
It's
the
like,
sun
what the
roasting
heck?
you. I know. And you just got to
Yep.
imagine, like, think about when you're kids and you put sunscreen on, and like you go to the shower and it takes like 2 showers to get it off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because it's been baked
After the
into
first one, you still come out smelling like sunscreen. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like,
That's definitely our next big project.
Yeah. Yeah. It's do you want to tell them what you said next summer is going to be? Next year, 2025 is going to be the
Year of no sunscreen.
no
just
sunscreen.
so many people are like,
Yeah, like you said, I
Wait
think
a second.
people are starting to take notice of just how bad that stuff is.
yeah,
See, I have not used a lot of sunscreen in my life. I was always, especially my 20s when I was a little bit more stubborn. And I was like, I am not wearing no sunscreen. I did it more for I'm getting tan. I'll get a little red. It's okay. It'll go to tan. I don't
Yeah.
want to put sunscreen on.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
now it's like,
Smart.
I'm good. I'm not putting that chemical on me. Like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have the same mindset, but for me, like with my fair skin and anybody else does, it's just like you load yourself up with sunscreen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not
Oh, yeah.
gonna get burnt today.
yeah,
Yep. I think like, and this is probably an obvious statement, but like a lot of people have skin issues and they never think about like what they're putting on their skin. They just think like I have bad skin. I've heard that from a lot of people. Like,
Yeah.
you put face sunscreen on, you just lather it on your face, and then a week later you're breaking out and you're like, oh my God, where are these pimples coming from?
yeah,
And so, I think a lot of those things can be directed towards just things we're putting on our
Yeah.
body, really. It's
Yeah.
just how our kind of skin reacts to it and things like that.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
pretty crazy. You never think about it. You always think it's good for you.
Yeah.
Always. It hasn't been until the past like year and a half that I thought sunscreen was bad for you. But before that, I was just like, whatever, sunscreen,
Yeah.
it'll help me. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna get burnt.
yeah.
I never
And-
used to thought about this. I never used to think about that stuff, like
Yeah.
if it's approved, if it's in stores, like how could they allow something that's
For sure.
that's
Well,
not good for us?
And when we're
Yep.
sitting being told by medical professionals, make sure you're putting
Exactly.
SPF on, make sure you don't eat too much red meat because your
Yep.
cholesterol
Yep.
and
Dermatologist recommended is what I see on a lot of them. It's like, what the heck is this?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Dermatologists that got paid $10,000 to recommend it. Of course, they're going to recommend it.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this is I hear a lot of people kind of talking about just all this stuff in general, and it is kind of weird because like people who maybe aren't as active in doing the research, they probably look at people like you and like me and people who do the same thing as like these guys are just conspiracy theorist nuts that are just wild and
Crazy.
they're like just the crazy hippies that live down the road type of
Yeah.
situation that grow their own vegetables and
Yeah.
don't put sunscreen on and
Oh, yeah.
only use baking soda for toothpaste and things like that.
Yeah, naked. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just it's wild, and I think a lot of them they just I think they put their trust into like companies and the government maybe a little too much, and they
Yeah.
don't realize like all those companies are doing is just trying to make money.
Oh.
They're not in it for trying to keep you as healthy as possible. They all, especially publicly traded companies, they're trying to make just as much money as possible. So
Yeah.
of course they're going to say this is wonderful for you, this is awesome for you, put it on your skin, oh no problems on this one.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, which I think kind of goes with just social media.
Yeah.
You have all these people that are pushing. It's hard to even like weed out. Like, I know just kind of our next steps are like having a baby. So I'm like looking at like prenatals. So it's like, the number one prenatal that you see is Ritual, but it's because all these influencers, it's like, but is that the best prenatal? Like who, and that kind of goes for everything.
Sure.
Somebody pushes one thing and it's like, like Nutrafol, which I think is probably works great, but I just
What's Nutrafol?
you don't know. It's like a hair vitamin, but you just don't know like what is the good stuff anymore.
Yep.
You just
Who do
there's
you
so
trust?
much,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
conflicting info.
Yeah.
Yep. It even I like to tell people too is like, don't eat like just do your own research, look into it yourself, and then make an educated decision off of that. Don't
Wow.
just like because it's like the same too is like I don't want to sit here and say all doctors are bad because they're not. Every profession you have your good you have your good side, you have your bad side.
Sure.
Politics, medical field, any
Yeah.
other company, it's like that. But when certain doctors recommend a certain thing, and you're kind of like, I kind of know this is kind of BS. Like this isn't. I shouldn't be doing this, or doctors recommend this, or they just write you a prescription and say, "Here you go, take these pills, and you'll feel just fine." Um, I it's you're right. It's just you don't really know who to talk to, who to trust.
Yeah.
Without because a lot of people they don't have time to sit there and research
Right.
everything either. It's time consuming.
Yeah.
And like me, I just do a lot of it. I just try to like listen to things in my car ride or
Yeah.
something like that. At least get some info on the go. But then you get home from work and you're tired and you're like, I don't want to research what toothpaste I should be using. It's kind of
Right. Plus, I think
weird that way, but
there's so much conflicting info. For every
oh yeah,
article that reads the banana's good for you, there's one that
Yeah.
says it's
oh yeah,
not. So,
Yeah, and you just have to do your due diligence, and like a banana may make you feel great, but it may make me feel not good. So you just have to have to advocate for your own health and just see what works for you, and that's what you have to do.
I think that's a big thing too. Is it's not going to be a cure all for everybody. It's kind of a personalized thing where you have to see
for sure
what works for you and use common sense in that too.
Yep. Yeah, like I like, big meat guy, love red meat, love steak, love chicken, love turkey, love fish. I'm a big advocate for meat. Getting your protein in there, I think it helps a lot. But, a lot of I hear some people just, they're big advocates for meat too, and they just cannot understand how people like vegans and vegetarians and whatnot. Which I'm kind of the opposite. It's like I kind of applaud those people because they kind of looked into their diet and figured out what works for them. And if meat didn't work for them, then it didn't work for them. They're sticking to it. And that's it's not that bad. If they're probably better off than most people who don't look
Yes.
into what they're eating.
I agree. There's as much as I think that they're not doing themselves much good, like at least they're trying. They're trying to be healthy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and they oh God, I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry.
Whether or not I'm on the same page as them or I feel the same way, like there's always the age-old debate: vegetarians versus, and not necessarily carnivores, but just people who eat meat and vegetarians. Red meat is bad for you, whether they do it because they truly think red meat is bad for you or they don't like killing cows and animals. Whether it's either one, I do think there's a good middle ground. And I do think there's like an ethical way to both meet in that middle ground too, because as much as I read I listened to an audiobook. It's called The Shotgun Conservationist, and it kind of like not necessarily opened my eyes, but it was about, and the author, he was like a totally against hunting, for example. Totally against it, thought it was inhumane, thought everyone is in it just for trophy animals, so they can get a good picture on Instagram and things like that. And then he kind of looked into it a little bit more and read into it a little bit more and kind of learned like it's actually very good for conservation. And it kind of turned him because he tried to be like a vegetarian, didn't really stick because he still liked meat. But he would try to buy like your organic grass fed beef and thought he was doing a service, which you are if you do that. It's a lot better than your normal beef that's not grass fed organic. And same thing with chicken and things like that. But he kind of switched into like a hunter after a couple years just because he did all of his research and then learned is like he he's taking his own animals in a humane way. Like you go to a slaughter facility, it's like that is 10 times worse than you going out and shooting an animal with the bow, for example. It's like, you know, it's kind of crazy that a lot of people don't just do their research and kind of look into that, especially when they're so much against hunting and things like that, for example. I think this train of thought got away from me a little bit, but
I think that's where like I have a respect for vegans because at least they've done their research, you know, and they're just trying to better their health.
Yeah.
And more, you know, more times than not, they're probably going to be more healthy than your everyday person that just
for sure
eats fast food or hamburger helper or whatever it might be every night.
Yeah.
You know, instead of actually attempting to improve their health.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think there's two. Sorry, Cordell. There's two sides of like vegan, vegetarian is where it's more of a belief.
Yes.
And then it's like for their diet.
Yes.
You know, where like we have a friend that doesn't eat meat, but she eats fish, but she is like all for it. Like absolutely meat. I just don't eat it because I don't like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
But she's not
for
like
sure.
pushing it on us or like you're killing the planet because you eat red meat. You know, it's not like that. So I do think there's definitely a split there on
That's
who.
True. Yeah.
It's more of a belief and then more of I don't eat meat because it doesn't make me feel good. So
yeah, no, I 100% agree with that, and it's you know you never really know the intentions that people have until they obviously let them known, but yeah, I don't know. It's tough. There's so much info, you know. It's tough to understand exactly what is right and what is wrong because you know, when you read about red meat, it's like there are so many like studies out there. It's like red meat will increase your like it is extremely bad for you. Like, do not eat red meat. And then you have your studies that are like, no, red meat is one of the best foods on the planet for you. It is full of vitamins and nutrients that you should be eating red meat every single day. And it's like I don't know what to believe. Like, is red meat bad? Because I honest to God used to be under impression when I was probably like high school. It's like maybe I should cut out a little bit of red meat. Like I'll still eat hamburgers and steak, but you know, I probably eat red meat 5 times a week. Maybe I'll cut it down to like 2 times a week and eat more chicken and turkey, which is still good for you, but it was kind of just mind control in terms of like putting out that narrative about red meat and just it's bad for you. Don't do it.
Yeah.
You know,
and
it's
a lot of times red meat gets associated, you know, it's if people are eating a lot of red meat, they might be eating stuff like fast food hamburgers.
For sure.
Or helper versus the healthy grass-fed beef.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, that actually has, you know, it doesn't have any of the extra stuff that is the unhealthy part of it, and it's just
Yep.
the good stuff in it. And that's where
they weren't looking at any external factors that could influence that person's health. Minus that red meat. You know, there's
exactly.
Yep. They weren't looking at that.
Is that it's not, you know, pinpointed on one thing. It could be all encompassing, and we don't know all the external factors, like you said.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we might not know for 50 years. I mean, they used to think smoking was good for you. Look at
that. Yeah. I have seen it is one of my favorite things to do is go on YouTube and watch like old cigarette and beer commercials because they are so funny in terms of like, just go to the bar, have a smoke with your friends. It's good for you. You will be living and loving life.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. Like I saw a beer commercial from like 1970 or between 1960s and 1980s, sometime in between there. And it was when you could still drink and drive. Like you could still have an open container and drink a beer in your car. It wasn't illegal. And the government was getting ready, like they had legislation or something that was like, we're not gonna drink and drive anymore. You cannot have an open container in your car. And this reporter went to like this smaller town and started interviewing all these residents. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen because there's like an old man who is he was literally drinking and driving on his way back from work, and he's like, "You're telling me the government can tell me that I haven't had a long day at the factory and I can't enjoy a nice beer on my way home? Like they're gonna ban that? That's bullshit." It was just the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, when all those law, like when they allowed women to vote and they interview people, they're like, "You telling me that this lady over here is going to be able to have a say in who our
Yeah.
next president is?"
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
those are
years.
they're funny just because they are dumb back then, Ashton.
Yeah.
But like I saw one too where there used to be a law like women could not drink in a bar; they can only drink at home. And then it got changed, and a female reporter went to a bar and started drinking, and all the guys were just like, "You better get the fuck out of here!" Yeah, and she's like, and she would go up to interview him, it's like, "How do you feel about me drinking next to you?" And he's like, I just come here to kind of chat with the guys, and can I talk about my home life if there's women here? I don't think so. He's like, do you think I can sit here and tell my complaints to my guys if there's a woman sitting next to me? No, that's why they should not be allowed in here. And they're just dead serious. I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
That is insane. Like, what are they going to do? Talk about the dishes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
How the heck are the kids going to fed when I'm at the bar while they're here with me?
Who's cooking dinner at home when I'm supposed to be at the bar?
Who's
Yeah,
going
it
to
is.
drive me?
It is pretty crazy how those times were just so much different than
So who knows in 50 years if we'll look back at this conversation like, wait, we were putting beef fat on our skin.
There was something.
What were we thinking?
Yeah. It could.
As long as we made some money.
Yeah. That's the okay thing. Okay, corporation, Brett.
Yeah, that's right. I'll sell out.
No. No, I just yeah, you're right. I think mainly that stuff is gonna be like I think like drugs and stuff is gonna be something that's radically different in
Sure.
in 50 years, like mushrooms and psychedelics and
I agree.
Yeah.
things like that. I think that will be
Cigarettes are technically natural.
what are?
Cigarettes.
Oh, cigarettes.
I agree. I think there's a way that we can utilize the stuff that God gave us on this earth, and find the real benefits in all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of it just needs to be researched and just figure out what is the best way we can utilize some of those things, because they do now they're doing a bunch of studies on like soldiers coming home and having PTSD and like them taking psychedelics really help them kind of bridge their mind together and get that not necessarily over the PTSD, but help get them through it and help get them to like a good place in order to live their life because most of those people have PTSD forever that really affects them.
Yeah.
But, I think that's what's going to change the most. I think your tallow is going to be okay. I think most of the natural organic things, like you said, have been around forever. I think people just kind of lost sight of it and didn't just got big into the commercialization of everything, and you kind of lose sight of what's good for you, what's not good for you, things like that.
Yeah, and the legislation is part of that too. That has to change. With pharmaceuticals and stuff like this that are all bought and paid for, and the only way for that to happen is for new legislation to come out that changes that. I think when we were talking about Europe earlier, America is one of the only countries that allows drug companies to advertise.
Yep. It's like one of two or three or something like that. Yeah.
Push a drug on people, because people can be convinced of things, and it's not
very easily.
It's not something that we should toy with, is convincing somebody to take a certain drug because they saw an ad for it.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. It's very difficult. Like, man, pharmaceutical companies, like they're like the most fined corporations. Like Pfizer has been fined like $1.9 billion in its lifetime due to mishandling, or not necessarily mishandling drugs, but pushing drugs that shouldn't have been pushed. Just the whole opioid crisis and things like that. But it's also kind of like they do good too. They do make good medicine that people need. Like I said, it's tough to believe really because they make good things, but they also make very bad things and they push it all. So you're like, what do I believe? And then you think you can go to a doctor and be like, tell me what I need. And then they push you on a certain drug that is a drug that shouldn't be pushed. And then before you know it, you're hooked and you
Yeah.
kind of rely on that drug to, because
Yeah.
like I am deathly scared of getting hooked on like a prescription drug, just in terms of like if I need a painkiller and I take a painkiller and it's just like, oh my God, like this is wonderful. Like I'm scared I'm going to be in a situation where I need a painkiller or something and that I will become not necessarily addicted to it, but rely on it for any pain. You know, it's one. I just try to be a little weary of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and it goes even like milder, I feel like, than a painkiller. Because like I was on medication that gave me really clear skin. And I came off of it and I do not have clear skin anymore, but I really like sometimes I'm like, should I just go back on it? Just so I can like not have a zit every couple of weeks. But yeah, it's like I don't know. Like the fix, it's easy, but it comes with like putting hormones in your body that are suppressing something. I'm having breakouts for a reason. There's something going on. Maybe I'm eating something that's not my body doesn't agree with. But
getting to the core of the problem rather than a solution.
It doesn't even have to like weight loss. I mean, it doesn't even have to be kind of the hardcore stuff. It's just the stuff that make life easier, make you look better. And
For sure.
Yeah. So
I think
go with it. Like
Say it
birth
ain't so.
birth control is crazy to me.
Say it ain't
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
That's a whole
I will definitely say women have it the worst in
they-
terms of
We do.
all the unnatural. I mean, you got makeup, birth. I mean, you have to, and granted, you don't need to do any of it, but w- it- it's kind of one of those like when you grow up, it's nothing like you shouldn't do this. It's like here, have some makeup. You need to get on birth control when you're 15 years old. I mean, it's not like a
Yeah, when they're just finishing puberty, it's like, oh, let's put you on this pill that stops everything natural about your body.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or if it's not a pill, it's something else.
Yeah.
Something in your arm.
Yeah. Like makeup. Yeah. When you guys are saying that, it's like, it's almost like what are those things where you come into society like debutante balls or whatever they do, like
bar mitzvah,
where they used to like introduce women into like that's almost how it is. Like at like 10 years old, you're getting like a little lip gloss, and then you go buy your first bra. Like it's just like every few years there's like something.
True.
Yeah, it's you guys are lucky that we're
and like
we are.
Well, that's because I started letting you back into the bars.
Yeah.
yeah. You
Sure.
could have been staying at home, Ashton. No need to wear makeup. No.
Yeah, go pick the garden.
Yeah, it is just like I don't put anything really on my skin besides the tallow now. But like all the makeup you guys have to put on and you see some people they just cake it on their face. It's like that just cannot be good for you. Like not nothing towards how you look or anything like that. But it's like just on a healthy standpoint, it's like that's just directly on your skin, and it's probably why some people break out, and then let's take these over-the-counter pills or maybe prescribed pills, and then before you know it, you're taking those, like you said, all the time to have clear skin. I used to when I was in high school, when I was in football, I would used to get really bad hives on the top of my head just because I'd wear that helmet every single day and I'd sweat all the time. I'd just kind of be dirty. And I used to get hives really bad. And so I would take an allergy pill every single day and it would help mitigate those hives. If I didn't take it, my head would itch for 3 days. It was awful. So I got not addicted to allergy pills. Didn't even know it. Like I took an allergy pill, those little pink or 24-hour allergy pills. I bet you I took one every day for 7 years straight.
Yeah.
And not realizing it was just kind of like a habit. I'd wake up in the morning, pop a pill, get in the shower, call it good, and then if I had like an itch or something on my head, just straight back to the pills. Yeah. And then I don't know. I think I listened to like a podcast or someone saying like they were addicted to allergy pills too, and I was like, I think I'm addicted to allergy pills as well. Oh no. I was like, I gotta stop taking these.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you just take it, without even thinking about it, like, well, I mean, what's it going to do? It doesn't hurt. It can only help.
Yeah.
And that's the thought
Yep.
process for a lot of things.
Well, I'm pretty sure too. Maybe it was sometime this summer, a study came out that there's a link between Benadryl and Alzheimer's.
There's a link
great.
between Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they said
Pills and Alzheimer's.
Me too, babe.
Alzheimer's, that's one thing that kind of scares me. When I like forget something that I should easily remember, I always think like, oh no, here I go. I'm going down the path.
Listen, when I lose my train of thought, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going already.
Yep, it is. They actually, I listened to a really good podcast on Alzheimer's. This guy's mom had Alzheimer's, and he's not in the medical field or anything like that, but when she started showing signs of Alzheimer's and then had full blown Alzheimer's, he kind of like took care of her full time and then kind of like devoted his career in life to researching Alzheimer's, partnering with hospitals and research facilities to kind of combat it. And he was saying that like Alzheimer's, it's like, you start showing signs of Alzheimer's when you're older, when you're 60, 65, 70, and then it transitions into full blown sometimes, or a lot of the times. But he said Alzheimer's really starts in like when you're like 40. He said that is like, it's one of those things where the medical field right now is big into, you're already diagnosed with something, let's treat it. Let's just treat it. All treating diseases and illnesses, where it really needs to be, we got to go way before that and find the cause of everything, and we got to help you avoid all these illnesses. That's where we're not at yet.
Yeah.
But he's like, a lot of their studies are showing that like Alzheimer's is kind of starting in people when they're 40. You just don't see any signs of it until later on in life. I was like, oh no. Oh great. I was like, so it's like, what do you do? Like, do I read more books? Do I make sure my mind is always clear?
Yeah.
Is there
drink
genetic testing?
there is. There is. Yeah.
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 It's just
But
such
then
where it comes from.
yeah.
Which is the scariest. Is it fully genetic?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with
These
you.
studies are coming out, every month or so that says, well, this can lead to it, this can lead to it.
Yeah.
I think for sure, if someone in your family does or did have Alzheimer's, you have a greater chance of having Alzheimer's or dementia as well.
Sure.
They said this podcast I listened to, this guy also said, when you do have signs of Alzheimer's, it is initially, when you're a little bit younger, better to be, and this is an obvious one, better to be a little bit more fit, a little bit more healthier of like a weight, on the non-obese side, obviously. But if you do have Alzheimer's and you get later on in life when you're older, it is better to be a little bit overweight than underweight.
Right.
Because they said when you're overweight, when obviously you're eating more, you're just getting more nutrients and vitamins that help combat the Alzheimer's and the dementia. Where if you don't eat and you're kind of on the lighter side and you're underweight, you're not getting those nutrients and vitamins, and the Alzheimer's and dementia kind of take its course a little easier in your mind.
Sure.
He said that's kind of what studies are finding these days.
Yeah. I could see that when I think about the people that I know. Like one of my best friend's moms has, I think, early signs of dementia, and she is a rail. I mean, rail. She maybe weighs 115.
Yeah.
And it is going fast. Like every time I talk to her, she's like, yeah, like it's rough. And I can see a correlation with that because older people too, they just like stop eating.
I know. Just as being overweight as it's so can being underweight. There's plenty of things that if you're not getting your nutrients that can cause issues as well.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're like the older people that I see, I feel like you either become underweight or overweight. Like there's not a lot of like very good healthy middle, like just natural weight older people, which there obviously is, but like when I see like Grandma Delilah, she is definitely underweight, and she barely eats. She'll eat like chocolate, and that's the only thing she will touch.
And
And it's like,
dementia is too much sugar intake, and that's what's scary too.
yep, because she has, and I think they said diabetes is another correlation with Alzheimer's as well. I heard, and I might be wrong on this, but I heard someone mention too, who is big into Alzheimer's research, was like Alzheimer's and dementia just might be a symptom of diabetes.
Wow.
It's like diabetes might be like the root cause of Alzheimer's and dementia.
Yeah.
Because they said like 100 years ago in the early 1900s, like Alzheimer's and diabetes wasn't a big thing.
Yeah.
And so now kind of on the rise of diabetes, we start seeing more Alzheimer's, start seeing more dementia, things like that.
Yeah.
I said, it's a big circle. It's a big circle. I mean, that's why I have a wooden toothbrush. I brush with, or I use non-aluminum deodorant.
Yeah.
I guess, when you have a family and stuff too, you want to be around. You don't want to have dementia when you're 70 years old. If you don't remember them, that'd be awful. And
Yeah.
you see people like, we know people who have Alzheimer's and dementia, and it's not fun.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
You can see their frustration.
Correct.
And it is just that much more heartbreaking that they know, and it's like it, makes them mad. It made me mad too. Like, come on, brain.
And I feel like there is. I mean, I obviously didn't pay attention to it when I was younger, but I just feel like being this age, there's way more people that I know of that have that disease.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I was younger, I knew no one. I knew no one that had Alzheimer's dementia.
We were young and we didn't understand it or know anybody old, but
for sure,
just being where we are now, it just feels like wow. There's just a ton of people in the older generation that have that disease, and it's terrifying.
That could correlate too with just that people live longer, so it has longer to develop and show. But yeah, I mean, you think about like early 1900s, people were dying from like ear infections,
right?
Just insane things. Like maybe dementia and all that never had time to progress. Which is insane to think about. But yeah, I mean, if we could get a cure for one of those
ear infections,
it's definitely just something I think, in like 20 to 30 years, we're gonna see a bunch of info. It's like, what was I thinking back then doing that? It's like, that is crazy. But now you just don't know.
We don't. That's why we try to take all the precautions and take it to the extreme with our lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which, like we've said, sounds crazy, but I don't know. It seems to work for us. And like she was talking about, and this is kind of go back to diet, is that I think that everybody should do what works for you. Do the diet that makes you feel the best.
Yeah.
Do the workout that makes you feel best. Live the lifestyle that makes you feel best. It's not going to be the same for everybody.
Yeah. Which I feel like we're just starting to get into, people realizing that, like, me running 2 miles on the treadmill is not going to give me the same results as it does him. And then, just the whole red meat thing, when he tried to do the carnivore thing, I tried to do it with him. And I'm like, I'm noticing difference in my mood. Like I'm bloated. I don't feel great. It didn't work for me. So, we kind of integrate other things, but yeah, you just kind of have to do what works for you.
We had our neighbor come up this week.
Yep.
They're old, obviously.
Very old.
How old did she say she was?
Oh, I don't know. She didn't say.
She said she's like, and I'm 76 or something.
Okay.
They brought us some vegetables and stuff, but she came up and we were just talking to her and she's like, I'm on this new thing called the carnivore diet. Do you know about this? I'm like,
it was crazy. And she said she lost 13 pounds and like,
really?
She's like, I feel good. And like, I just eat meat, but I love meat. Like, that's my favorite thing. Yeah. Like, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
But she knew what tallow was.
She knew tallow. She knew carnivore diet. So maybe we aren't the only ones. Maybe everybody's starting to catch on.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people trying to, it goes either way. It goes carnivore diet or goes, I'm cutting out all meat. I don't, obviously there's a lot of people in the middle, but when I hear about people going on diets, it's like I'm eating fruits and vegetables
Yep.
or I'm eating all meat. And I did the carnivore diet for like 3 weeks. I felt wonderful. I lost like 10 pounds. I do think a lot of it is you're cutting out a bunch of other shit that is not good for you too.
For sure.
And I think one that kills me is just beer.
Yeah.
When I drink a beer, it's like there's 120 calories and it's the worst thing ever for you. It's like no health. Yeah. Straight to the stomach.
Yeah.
But I did that carnivore, and I try to like limit how much I drank too and stuff like that. And I felt you do go through like I went through like a they call it like a carnivore flu, where after like 4 days I was just like sweating, and I was like, what the heck is this? And I kind of read about it luckily, and they're like, if you just get through like 1 or 2 days of it, you come out the other end a lot better, and it did for me. I came out like that second week. I was like, "Oh my god, this!" And I was eating steak, bacon, pork, the most delicious meat ever, and that's all I was eating. I was just wolfing it down, with a little bit of honey too. But I was like, "This is awesome." But I said, for me, it works. But like my wife, no way. She's like, "Don't give me any red meat." She'll eat chicken and pasta for the rest of her life, and she'd be happy and healthy. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it can vary for the person, and it should. We're not all the same.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Brett and Ashton, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having us. We'll send
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
invoice for the insurance fee.
I'm sure I'll get the invoice here in a week or so. I'm sure I'll have you guys on again sometime. We'll have some reoccurring guests and whatnot, and we'll just pick back up from where we left off.
Be glad to be back.
Sweet. Yeah. I like it.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thanks for
Appreciate it. Yep,
Have a
no
good
problem. Thanks for coming. All right, see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.